Oh, it's playing right now?
No, I can say hey. I'll be back in time. When you say hey,
People, there's no one there. Why you think I showed up?
no, ain't nobody there. You can hang out there.
They ain't gonna see me. I'm out. I'm out.
Made an appearance.
You already said they gonna see me, so I left.
Y'all got blessed with the presence of Zachary Smith.
That's rare too.
I know how to do this. Just snack plate. Let's see.
Waiting on Mr. P.I.E.N.
No, you got it.
What's going on, everybody? Ready for another session of expression sessions? Another soulful Saturday.
Ain't nobody on that line.
How's everyone's Saturday? Mine is going pretty good. A little rainy here.
Little bit.
And it's a little cold, but it's supposed to be 80 degrees tomorrow. Welcome to Texas.
There's your snack that you're probably not gonna touch.
Probably not, but thank you.
Why you asked for it then? I'm gonna eat it on camera then.
Zachary,
Huh.
no? You want to sit down and talk about it? Oh, infamous Zachary Smith. They only can see half of your face. You
I
have to
know.
slide on. That's all you want them to see?
Mm-hmm. They got an arm in there. No, that's cheating. Mom, you cheated now. It's not fair.
How's your day going?
No, that's cheating.
What's cheating?
Cheating if you're looking at it.
She moved it over.
How's your Saturday going?
Yeah, it's going pretty well.
Going pretty well. You Fortniting it up?
Yeah, what else am I supposed to play? A Nintendo Switch game is like $60.
Hey man, you
Oh,
don't
well.
You could have played something else. Oh, I just poured you way too much wine. Yeah, put it in the
So your spring break turned into a spring
The whole entire summer
month
off.
or summer off, possibly? You excited about it?
No, that means I have to do school online.
Yeah.
Well, never mind.
Start
Maybe I
Monday.
have to sleep in early.
Hey.
No, starting Monday, we will be doing
Better or
schoolwork
worse?
better.
Wait, no,
What?
not Monday.
Yeah. This week was officially spring break. Monday, we're going to be doing schoolwork.
Monday we get Monday off.
Not here. We're not getting Monday off.
It's a student-teacher holiday.
You don't go back until April 5th, but we're going to do schoolwork starting on Monday.
I thought Monday was a student.
If you had gone back to school on your right time, at the
We
right
went
time, you
back
would have.
Tuesday.
Right. But you're not. You're going back April 5th or the 6th. You're out into the 5th. So kids are home. My kids had spring break this week, and then they were supposed to go back on Tuesday, but they are out until the 6th. So my husband is running around, and my son left me because he didn't want to talk about doing schoolwork on Monday. So today we are going to talk about storytelling. And really, it's all about your story. What is it about your story that could bless someone else? What have you gone through? What have you experienced that can be a blessing to someone else? Oftentimes, we don't look at our story as a blessing. But
hey, y'all, it's your girl, Corona Cashmere. Hey, Kiki, I heard you say your husband was gone. You need a partner. Hey, girl.
Yes, I was waiting on him, but I guess he sent you
He
instead.
sent me instead. Corona Cashmere to the rescue, talking about stories.
Yes.
Ooh, I
You got a story you want
This
to
story
share
about
with?
this hair in my mouth is not good. I better open the blinds up, people. Ooh, dang it.
Please open the blinds up so people can see you.
Let me put this behind my ear like a pencil. Hey, how y'all doing?
Good. How's your Saturday so far?
Oh, you have no idea.
It's been that rough?
You have no idea.
Well, tell us about it.
But you have no idea. What idea you think my Saturday was like? What was y'all Saturday like?
My Saturday was pretty relaxing.
My Saturday was a mess. I went to the beauty salon to get my hair done. And you wouldn't think that I went there, but I did.
You did?
Yeah, I was
you
right
paid
in the
for that?
bathroom,
You
doing
paid?
it myself.
Oh, that's the salon.
It's beautiful in there. And so I was in there and I was in there so long, I just called it a beauty salon. Beauty salon. You ain't never been in a beauty shop so long that you stopped calling it a beauty salon. You said, I've been in here so long.
Oh, yes.
And you went home and you told somebody your story about how long you've been there and they did this to you?
Yes.
Ooh.
And then you go home and you still have to fix it.
Oh, fix what? What?
I mean,
Excuse me, do y'all hear this? Fix it. It's fixed, it?
Right. It's fixed. It looks great. It looks really great.
Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And she speaks nothing but lies in her story, y'all.
So you gonna tell us your story?
I'm not gonna tell you anything, sugar, because you just lied on me.
What am I lying on you about?
You said my hair look a mess.
I never said that.
You was insinuating.
I said sometimes you have to come home and fix it after they done.
If I told you I've been at the beauty shop,
I was talking about me.
You got to fix yours.
Sometimes
you should have came and seen your girl, CC. I would have fixed you right up.
Next time.
No, right now.
Next
your
time.
edges.
I'm making an appointment.
You make an appointment and I'm going to come see you next time.
Okay.
Y'all have a good day. I'm out.
Okay, we never did get her story, but anyway, your story is important. It may not seem important to you, but to somebody, your story is encouraging, and it could be, something that gets them over to the next season in their life. So that thing that's happened to you and you're like, oh my goodness, why did this happen to me? Be it a surgery, be it a divorce, be it a friendship that didn't last.
I feel like I need a baseball
cap.
Hey, what's going on, world?
MrP.I.E.N finally showed up.
Hey, it's me. Oop, I gotta go again because I forgot something. I don't have my Instagram connection. Kiki, you keep it going.
Okay.
For the people. I was coming in here earlier as I was coming through the door. You had somebody else in my seat. I could have sworn I heard Cece in the place.
She said you sent her.
She's a dang on lie. I ain't sent her nowhere.
Oh, well.
She got a mind of her own. She just show up.
Yeah, she was talking about her beauty salon experience.
Oh, my God.
I think I offended her. She might not come back. You might have to talk to her. I don't know.
Did she have her hair done or was it just hair?
Well, she had hair.
She had hair.
She had some hair.
Well, okay, cool. What are we talking about today? Something about stories, right?
Yes.
Sharing your story and the importance of your story. No hair today. No hair. Don't care. All bald. Paul, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining in. Miss Kara, thanks for joining in. Please tune in with my wife for a few more seconds. Give us a second. Share this video. Tag your friends. Somebody live watch party this. I'm going to go grab my other phone so I can set up my Instagram because I just got done cooking dinner, which my wife ain't eating over here. I'm gonna show y'all the plate. It look good.
I didn't want to eat some of this.
Camera. Look at this. I made, where the camera at? Oh, there we go. Some homemade mashed potatoes, some stuffed clams, and some turkey meatballs. And she don't want to eat in front of y'all, so check this out. Good. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm gonna be right back while she take over. I'll be back, love.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's coming in on you.
Where was I? So your story is important. What you've been through can be a blessing to someone else. Okay, we got Zachary back in the house. You gonna say hi to the people?
No, I'm just here.
Oh, you're just here. Okay, thank you. So don't be afraid to own your story, embrace your story. Those scars that you have or had could be a blessing to someone else. That divorce, that friendship that ended, that job, all of those things are just part of life, things that we go through. So sharing your story can be a blessing to someone else. Oftentimes I'm reminded of my story. I have so many of them, but this one in particular is my story of divorce. Now, I'm a woman of God. I believe in God, and I did not believe in divorce. But after the healing process, I began to use that story to be a blessing to other women, that you can go through a divorce and you can come out on the other side of that and still have your joy, still have your peace, because the divorce doesn't define you. And it takes two to be in a marriage. And if that other person decides that they no longer want to be in the marriage, sometimes there's no other choice but to go through the divorce process. But even after that, you can still make it. You can still be a whole person after it's all over. But I would say just take some time to yourself, heal from that, because when you get married, oftentimes you don't, or I should say, you never really think about, you're going to get a divorce, especially if you're with this person for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. You just never think about on your wedding day getting a divorce. But again, I've gone through that situation, and even in my singleness, in my single season, I just spent that time
on the scene,
healing and just getting to know myself and just self-evaluating and learning to love myself and separating my worth from my marriage, because my marriage was not who I was. It was just a partnership that I was in, but I'm still a whole person, whether I'm married or not. So I had to learn to separate what happened from who I am. God still loved me, whether I got a divorce or I was, still married. So I'm always encouraging women and men that if you've gone through something traumatic, to take the time out to heal yourself. You are not that situation, and you can heal from it. You can learn from it, and you can go forward as a better person. So don't be afraid of your story. Oftentimes we feel shame and we feel hurt and we feel like, we may not be able to go on after this. Because like I said, I never got married with the intent on getting a divorce. Woo! I actually didn't believe in getting a divorce. But again, it takes two people. So I had to learn that, I am not my marriage. My marriage doesn't define me. It's just a status. But I'm a masterpiece regardless to whether I'm single or in a relationship. And so are you. So what is your story? What is that thing that's happened to you either as a kid or an adult that you feel shame of, or that thing that happened to you that you feel like you're not going to be able to move on from this situation? What is that thing? Your story is your journey in life, and it's not the end for you. You can definitely heal from it, and definitely take some time to reflect, to learn from it. That way you don't keep building the same house with a different person. And that was my whole thing in staying single for 2 years or more. I just wanted to heal and make sure I wasn't taking the same things, the same mindset, the same things that I had been through in my previous marriage on to the next situation. So oftentimes we build the same house, I guess I'll call it, for lack of better words, just with different people, because we don't take the time to assess the situation and really heal from why were we in that relationship so long? What was it that we liked about it or didn't like about it? Did we see red flags? Did we not do all that we could? Assess the situation, but then move forward. Forgive yourself. A lot of times some things are out of our control. So forgive yourself, love yourself, and embrace your story. figure out how you can use your story to empower you. You got over that. Some people go through things and they lose their mind, but I came out with a sound mind. So there's always a positive
in every negative.
in every negative. So don't be afraid of your story. Don't be afraid of what you've been through. Don't be afraid of assessing yourself and spending some time alone so that you can really figure out you. Because a lot of times we get in relationships and we're so busy trying to, I know I was so busy trying to cater to my husband, and then we had kids, so I was trying to be a mother, and really babe. Really babe.
Yeah, I'm listening.
So I kind of lost myself. And so in my single season, I learned that, man, I had hopes and dreams before I got married. But once I got married, I kind of let all of that go. And I did pursue my bachelor's degree, but I didn't do anything with it. Because again, I was trying to hold my marriage together. And now here I am, a mother. So I'm wanting to be the best mother I could be. And I just lost myself, y'all. So
we talking about stories.
We're talking about stories, and I was kind of telling, one of my many stories about, our divorce and just getting past that, taking some time to really be by myself and just to heal from things that, happened during our relationship, that happened, when I was a kid, and how I brought that mindset or, lack thereof of what a marriage was really supposed to be. I didn't know what a healthy marriage looked like when I first got married. Y'all, I thought it was pixie dust. You get married and you have this wonderful marriage, and you just all gonna be in bliss and happiness. And no, it's work. It's a lot of work. You have to spend time with that person. And you know what? There's compromise, and there's communication, and there's trust, and there's all of these ingredients that go into a successful marriage I learned in my single season. But when I first got married, I had no clue. So
Andre and Gary,
a lot of times we find ourselves in situations that we really weren't prepared for. You done, babe?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. A lot of times we find ourselves in situations we really weren't prepared for. But if we take the time out, we can see where we need to adjust for the next season in our lives. And I think that it's very important that you take that time just to be by yourself and to assess you, to find out you and who you are. What do you like? What do you not like? What are your what do they say? What are your deal breakers? What things do you desire in life? Do you want to have kids? Do you want to buy a house? Do you want to own a business? Do you want to drive a red car? I don't know. Whatever your desires are, you need to know these things. So when you're coming in contact with different people, you can move and
when I move, you move.
Right.
Just like that.
So you can move and you can connect yourself with people who are like-minded. You don't want to be with a partner who doesn't want to have kids if you desire to have them. So
ain't that a bag of nothing? Our story, neither one of us wanted to get married or had kids.
We didn't.
We got both. I didn't see that in my future. Go ahead. I don't want to stop your flow.
Oh, you already did that. But that's okay. I'm going to try to get it back going.
Don't try. Just do it. Get it back. Just start talking and something will come up.
Okay, thank you.
You know what, Sutton? I'm going.
Thank you, Sutton. I don't think he know how.
I don't.
I don't think he know how to stop interrupting, but it's okay.
Watch this.
I'm going to get it back, I think. I'm going to work on it. You got some? No? Okay. So, where was I? What was I talking about?
You was talking about how we started. But if we're going to talk about stories, because you was talking about what we've been through, tell them about our story, how we got together, or tell them about your story, how you felt. But you got to tell them the story. You talked about some things, going through your childhood, us being together for so many years. But maybe you can talk about some points about your story. Because even like in high school, the story that you heard about me, like, oh, girl, he ain't no good. He already got a baby. Don't mess with him. He ain't nothing. But you didn't listen to the story that everybody else fed you. you started to look at me for who I was, and you started to craft your own story and build your own story. So maybe you can talk to the people about how you built your own story from your relationship and your marriage with me, maybe your relationship with your mom, and then not stand on those things, but building up to how you had to change your story. You had to rewrite your program from the story that was given to you. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And even with me, everybody told you my story, but you waited and you seen for yourself, and you was able to craft your own story. And, you know, so we was talking about your story. You looking like, okay, I've got all that. Shut up. I'm done. I'm done for the day, y'all.
Not at all. I was telling my story from what I want to tell my story.
Well, you tell your story then. You and Sutton talk together.
You got a story
No,
you
I'm
want
done.
to share?
Mm-hmm.
Now you done.
I'm watching. I'm waiting my turn. You just asked me to not interrupt. Now I want to wait my turn, and you want to know if I got a story. I got a story. My story is called.
Really?
Yeah, go.
I was on a roll. I lost my train of thought.
All right. We're going to sit here in silence till you get it back.
Really? Sometimes writing your own story is your way out the pain. Yes, I think journaling is great. I did a lot of writing. I'm a writer anyway. I prefer to write things down. So I think that journaling is very therapeutic. It's a way, it's like a release. I don't know. That's the best I can explain it. It's like a release of what you feel. Like some people yell, some people, want to talk to someone. But for me, writing was definitely therapeutic. I kept a journal. I wrote down everything. And there would even be times when I would go back and I would read it. And it's just a great tool to see where you were and where you are now, and just to keep a focus on your progress, and to just to verbally, or not verbally, but to write down your thoughts. And you could be very raw and transparent, and nobody ever has to see it until you decide you want to share it with someone. But it's a great way to release. Oh, Mr. Smith about to see his own future with the mama slap.
That's good.
Stand down, soldier. I don't think he know how, y'all, but it's okay.
Well, that's part of my story, man. I've been talking all my life. All my life. I don't know. I do know how to be quiet. It's one of those things we talk about when, you're listening to understand, or you're listening to respond. And it's not a time for me to respond because you talking, and that's cool, because normally I'm the one that's talking and you sit back chilling. So when I'm interrupting you, it's not to shut you down. It's I be having the thought and I want to say something, and I know I'll forget it. But it seems like I'm not who they want to hear. No way. They want to hear you. So we want to listen to your story. So this is your show today. MrP.I.E.N. We here Saturday Soulful Session of Expression with MrP.I.E.N. I'm going to stand down, as Sutton said, and we going to listen to your story. Because it's going to help somebody else and give God the glory. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So that was my purpose, to share a part of my story, just so that you let him start. You lost.
You know what? I ain't gonna even lie to you, Sutton. I ain't gonna even lie to the people. I almost gave you double fingers. I ain't gonna even lie to you. Not these thumbs, but double fingers. Not these fingers either. But anyhow, you absolutely right. I learned a long time ago. Yeah, but hey, deal with it. Deal with it. All right, go ahead. Tell the people your story, so we can help them and bless them.
Y'all see what I deal with? It's okay. I mean,
don't tickle me now. You can't have no silence on the air. So there you go.
You have to say something
yes,
now.
Yes, you do. No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I'm saying something. I'm saying no, I don't. Corona.
Really? As my son said, we got a 2319. We're gonna let the people go.
2319.
Y'all ever seen Monsters Inc?
Oh my God.
2319. We've been joking all. Y'all seen Ethan on Facebook joking. We've been joking all week. And we call it a 2319 from Monsters Inc. Where the monster had a little sock on his shirt, and they just shaved him down, put him in quarantine. It was a mess, but
Got choice 2 times.
it was pretty funny.
Okay, so you're gonna get back into your story.
Yeah, what was I? What was I talking about?
You was talking about your story about marriage, how it fell apart, how we got back together, and
About how sometimes you get into marriage or you get into situations and you don't really have the full understanding of what you're doing. Like when we got married, I didn't know what it meant actually to be married. I thought it was, you get married and then everything is great. But I learned in my single season that who you are before you get married is who you'll be in your marriage. So if you're going out to the clubs and you're just, doing what you want to do and you're not preparing for, marriage, then that's what you take into your marriage. There is no, I get married and then all of a sudden, me and my spouse are just going to magically develop this wonderful relationship. No. The habits that you have before you get married are the habits that will continue on. So I learned that if my spouse, or even if my spouse or myself is not in the mindset of having a family, then it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to reprogram, because if you haven't had a role model or someone that you look up to that had a successful relationship, then you basically going off of your idea of what it looks like and what you actually saw, and you're actually battling with his idea also of what a relationship looks like. So you have this going on, and then you're like, well, what happened? We got married. It was supposed to be, this honeymoon season all the time. And it's like, no, it's work. What you did to come together, you have to continue doing. Like currently we do a weekly date night. Even if it's an in-home date night where we're blocked off from the kids, we watch a movie or we just have a conversation. Like communication is very important. And we didn't have that in our last marriage. We was talking at each other, but we weren't talking to each other. And he was doing his thing. And like I said, I was so busy trying to please my husband and be a mother and really, babe. And I lost myself.
I can't talk, so I got to do something.
I lost myself. I did get my bachelor's degree, but all my other dreams went out the window because I just couldn't.
You said you lost yourself. Where they find you at?
I had to find myself. I had to find myself.
Okay.
That's what your single season is for. So you can find yourself and go towards your goals. And
maybe it'll help the people out.
Okay.
Let me ask you this question. So we talk about your story and, how we got to where we got to then in your single season.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know me and you talked about this after our divorce, and marriage is very important to you, and neither one of us understood marriage. But one thing I know about my wife, anything she starts, she's finished. And I used to be a quitter. That was my story. Or as I like to say, I was a late finisher. I would put that thing down for about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Sometimes. How you know I was gonna say years?
Because we hear.
Or you just shooting shots at no, she ain't gave me. That's fellas, you know what that is. That's like the kiss of death. I love you. Ooh, boo boo. That's like shut up, be quiet. Now, I hit you with the jab. Now I'm gonna give you a kiss to make you feel better. Anyhow.
That was a love kiss.
I ain't got no. We've been on here how long? 72 weeks we've been doing these shows. Y'all see me get a love kiss yet? But like Les Brown say, used to bees don't make no honey. So I was gonna get a kiss today.
Today was a new beginning.
So we talking about stories, and I'll let you finish. How were you able to change your story? Because that's the importance to me when I think about stories and this idea. God gave me this and I shared it. And I didn't really talk to you about it. I let you know it like I let the people know on Instagram. We're going to talk about stories and the importance of storytelling and what we tell ourselves and what God tells us as far as the story he had for us. But how did you personally, how were you able to change your story from feeling like you are less than because your husband walked out and you're divorced because that's not what you wanted? Now you're a single mom. And, because at one point in time, I remember talking to you about this. You felt like, I
I don't want to use this word, but it's the word I can think of at this time. You felt like you failed, or a
Yes.
failure, or you felt disappointed, you felt ashamed because you got divorced, and that's something you never wanted. What was it and how was it? Were you able to personally change your story? And how do you think that other people can rewrite their story? Because stories can be rewritten, right?
All the
So
time.
how are you able to do that?
Well, it was just a time to myself to really reflect and get in God's word. And what does God say about me? You know, after you get past the hurt and the pain of the situation, the reality is you now have to recreate yourself, and you have to get to know you. And so in spending time with myself, I just began to learn little things about myself. I like that I start things and I finish them. I like that, you know, I'm a kind person. I like that, you know, so I began to just love on myself. I began to take that love that I was so freely giving out and give it to myself. And it was a foreign thing at first because, like I said, I lost myself. So now here I am. I'm divorced and I had 3 kids at the time. So not only do I have to rebuild myself, I have to keep it together for my children. So the journaling was great. And when they were asleep, I cried. I mean, let's just be real. I had to go through this whole process of recreating myself. And there were days where I cried. I cried about it. And after that season of me crying passed, it was just like, okay, I need to get up from here. I have 3 people depending on me. I had 3 children at the time. And I just decided that I was going to get up. It was a decision that I made. Of course, the manifestation took some time, but I just decided one day, I'm not crying about this anymore. I need to get up from here because what am I teaching my son and what am I teaching my daughters? And so they became my why. And I began to get in God's word and just believe what the Bible said about me, that I am a masterpiece and that, you know, I am fearfully and wonderfully made and God loves me. And, you know, I receive his love. I would tell myself that in the mirror. God loves you and you receive his love. God loves you and you receive his love. And I had to say it over and over again until I began to believe it. And then from there, it was like, you know, divorce is something that happened to me. It's not something that defined me. It doesn't define me. So yes, I was disappointed. No, I didn't want it. I fought as hard as I could. And I got the peace in knowing I did everything I could think of to save it. So I'm okay. You're okay. You're going to make it. You're going to get past this point. So there comes a time where you have to make a decision and then walk it out. Is it going to be easy? No, but the more you do it, the better you get, the more freedom you gain. So I had to first deal with it. I cried, I journaled, and I just kept getting up, guys. I just kept getting up. I had 3 people depending on me. I couldn't just lay there and, you know, just lose it all. I'm sorry. I love my babies too much. They were my why. So I got up every day. I did the mom thing, took them to school. I cooked, I cleaned. And then at night I would cry myself to sleep sometimes, or I would just journal it out. And then after a while, after months of going through that, it was like, okay, I'm ready for something else. I'm ready for a change. And I just began to, like I said, get in my word and believe that I'm a masterpiece. I began to believe that, you know, I can move on from this. I can get past this. And that's when I learned that the things that happen to us, they don't define us. They're part of our story, but they don't define you. You're whole, you're healthy, you're beautiful, no matter what you go through. And you can always hit the reset button anytime. If you have breath in your body, you can hit the reset button and start over. And you don't have to be pinned to decisions that were made yesterday. So our stories are really powerful. We may not think so, but when you're sharing it with someone else who's going through something, you begin to realize that, hey, this thing that I went through that I was ashamed of at first, it's actually bringing healing to someone else. I've talked to countless women about, you know, divorce. And I was even going to a divorce care class where I was bold enough to share what I was going through. And a lady came up to me and she was just so in tears, and she was just like, oh my God, thank you for sharing. And at that time I was still going through, but I just I just refuse to let this be the end of my story. So I went to those divorce care classes and I was determined to heal. And even to the point where I shared. So I know that sharing can be a healing experience for both the sharer and the receiver. So people receiving my story, they couldn't understand how I got from divorce to the divorce care class, but I was just honest. Hey, I'm going home and I'm still getting up, going to work, and I'm still being a mother, but at night I'm crying, at night I'm journaling, at night I'm affirmations, in the morning I'm affirmations. Like, I'm determined to get to a place of stability and peace within myself. And in sharing that, it blessed so many other people. So you just really never know who may need your story or why you're going through something. Sometimes it's not all about you. Sometimes, you know, you're going through something because you may encounter somebody down the road and now you can relate to them. You know, our story connects us. And what better way to have someone to heal you that's already been through that, because they know your pain, they know what you've been through, and they can say, you know what, I know what you've been through. It's going to be okay. You're going to make it, you know, and we can make it together, you know. So a lot of times our stories are more valuable than we realize.
That's true. Crying in the shower, daily affirmation is understanding I can only control me helps.
Yes, it does.
What would you say to that from your BFF in the H-Town?
That's very important too, to know that you can only control you. You can't control the other person. As much as we would like to believe that we can, you can't. You can't change the mind of another human being. You can influence a decision, you can make a suggestion, but ultimately the decision is theirs. So you just have to take ownership for your own actions, and that other person's, that's on them. They have to,
this is my story.
Yes, that's on them. They have to take accountability for their actions, and you can't blame yourself for the whole thing. It takes two people. Just take accountability of the part you played, and then the rest is left up to God. Like I knew in my situation, I did everything I could possibly think of. I was understanding. We did counseling. Like, I mean, we had these long conversations. You know, I tried to be, you know, home and available. Like, there were so many things that I thought of. I prayed about it. I went to members of my church. Like, I did everything I could think of. And that gave me peace in my single season, knowing you didn't go through this divorce because you didn't try. You went through it because two people decided they could no longer be together.
Irreconcilable differences.
That's what they call it. Yes.
It's a lie. Somebody cheated. I cheated, y'all. Somebody spent all the money. Ain't nothing irreconcilable. You can reconcile, but when you do too bad and you tell up that story, ain't nothing to reconcile. So they be lying. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes.
Get on here and cuss me out.
So when you have done all you can do, you just have to, hey, I did all I can do, and I'm just going to go on to bigger and better things. I'm just going to choose to. And a lot of times it's a choice. It doesn't always, the manifestation is not always overnight, but if you just make the choice and put a plan in action, and then you can walk it out. And if you fall, get back up. If you cry today, get back up tomorrow. And you like, whoo, I made it a whole day. I ain't cried at all. And then tomorrow you cry, you like, dang it, now I feel set back. No, you're just human. Keep on walking it out, because that one day of not crying turns into 2 days, turns into a week, into months, into years, until you like, I'm good. I'm good now. But a lot of times we beat ourselves up because we think that healing is supposed to happen overnight, and healing is a process. It's not something that happens overnight. Now, there are some things we can get over, or some things that we can put down and it's immediate, but there are some things we have to just walk it out, y'all. We just have to walk it out, and it's going to be okay. You know, it's going to be okay. You can get through anything, but you just have to make a choice. It's just all about making a choice. So
Make a choice.
I encourage you, if you're going through a divorce or have gone through a divorce and you're on the side of healing, that you will make it. You're going to make it, because if you decide that you're going to make it, then you will. So it's a slow process, but it's a doable process.
No, you don't gotta stop loving. Just checking out something. Throwing you off because you don't see looking at people. Don't worry about that. That's blowing up over there.
Oh,
they don't like us on my page, but I just started her page. She ain't never went live on Facebook. She probably gonna beat me after the show, but that's my story. So if y'all see me bruised and battered tomorrow, you already know. But her page over there is blowing up. Go ahead.
So
hey y'all,
just an encouragement to anybody who, you know, has gone through a divorce, who, you know, is currently going through one, who's thinking about going through one. Like, it's not an easy thing, but you will get through it. Divorce is not who you are. It's just something that's happened to you or has happened to you, and you're still amazing. You're still wonderful. You're still beautiful. You can still get to, you know, where you want to be in life, or go where you want to go in life. Hey, Ivy. Or you know, Ivy, you can still move past this moment,
like 4 cameras, y'all,
and not have to feel like, you know, a failure or shame or guilt. And I know a lot of times, you know, we as Christians, we feel guilty or we feel shameful because we were told that God hates divorce, and you know,
you don't hate it if it wasn't the marriage one for you.
Absolutely. A lot of times we marry people we weren't meant to marry. A lot of times we marry people we weren't meant to marry, or we just didn't know when we got married. And I knew that I'm not saying that, love. I'm saying that
I'm just messing with
I think we just didn't know what we were doing. So
I don't know how to type on that.
We didn't know what we were doing.
No,
sometimes you can be with the person you
reasons.
are meant to be with, and it's just the timing just isn't right.
I got married because they said you can have sex. Even though we already had a kid, I just figured it's legal now. That's my story. No, I'm just
okay.
No, I got married because I figured we was gonna be together the rest of our lives. Like most of the people we know, you had those high school sweethearts. We can tell so many stories about people that we know that were the high school sweethearts, the it couple. They supposed to make it. And, you know, growing up in Detroit, I don't know where y'all from, but growing up in Detroit, it was like you were somebody in high school, you graduated high school, and you went on, and that was still your boo thing. It was like, oh, y'all was together. So the next step was to automatically get married. And like my wife said earlier, we got married and we didn't have no idea what marriage really meant, because we had came from broken stories. The stories that we had seen, the stories we had read visually, you know, was this is the way a marriage is. And people would tell us, and that still bothers me to this day. I have to be honest. I'm not going to tell anybody that your marriage don't have to be bad for the first 10 years. No. That's a lie from the devil in the pits of hell. Send it back. Send it back. But people told us that, oh, girl, don't worry about it. It's gonna be bad for the first 10 years. That's what you go through.
Because y'all trying to figure it out.
We had heard. So, you know, it's just like when we got married. When I proposed, I knew I loved her and I knew I wanted to be with you for the rest of my life. But I had no idea what marriage was. I thought that was the next chapter in my story. We've been together. We have a child. I'm not going nowhere. Clearly, it didn't look like you was going nowhere. Either one of us at that time. So it was like, hey. As they say, let's make her an honest woman. As if she ain't honest already, but let's make her an honest woman and get married. And that's why I personally propose. I don't want to say that as in if I just want to propose, I want to make you an honest woman. No, I knew I loved you and I wanted to spend the rest of my life with you. And I figured, okay, I must marry her. So I married her. But I didn't marry her thinking that, okay, I'm a man and God has blessed me. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and earns favor from the Lord. I didn't marry you because I felt like, you know, I'm going to treat you and love you like God loves the church because you are my church, as God puts. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're supposed to treat them the same way you care for your body. I didn't marry you for those things. I married you because I thought you was a sweet person. You was a person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, even if I didn't know at that time if I was going to stop doing the madness I was doing. But it's like, you've been together 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Y'all supposed to get married, even if y'all don't even know what that looked like.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that was the story we heard, and that was what we did. So
yes, and a lot of people will say, y'all stop playing house and just go ahead and get married. You're shacking up. And so
I ain't got no shack, I got a house.
You know what? You feel this pressure to get married even if you aren't certain if you should or not. So here you are in this marital situation and you have no idea what you're doing. You have no idea what you're doing. You just, then you revert back to what you saw, or what you know, or what you think. And that doesn't always work. So no. So then that makes the 10 years after that a little rough, because now you're trying to figure yourself out. You're trying to figure your spouse out. And it's a mess if you have no communication, no trust, no honesty. Then you really are just spinning your wheels trying to make the car go, and it's just not working.
It's just not working. All right, cool. Hey, what's going on, world? It's me. Do I get to speak or no? It's not my time.
Tag you it.
Hey, man. Woo! I almost died, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I had to be quiet for 6.5 seconds.
Oh my God. You made it, y'all. You made it.
I'm just joking. No, that's good though, because I've been really, my stories, it's like we talked about before, and we talk about stories. I often tell you, hey, babe, maybe you should run the show. Maybe you should guide the show. And that's some of the stories that we have when we go through. But man, I've been taking some notes and writing a few things down, and I want you to think about this too when y'all sitting here watching this and our silliness. I know it's silliness, but it'll bless you if you let it. If you just listen to what we saying and not just watch the show, you ain't got nothing else to do. You on lockdown, so you might as well tune in, start a watch party, call your mama, your grandma, your auntie. Everybody gonna need what I'm about to give y'all. Even if I ain't giving you nothing, you want it because you ain't got nowhere to go. I tell you what, if you tune in, I will send you 4 sheets, not 1, not 2, 4 sheets of 2-ply tissue. I'm trying to tell you, I know you want that 2-ply right now. Corona got y'all nervous. But anyhow, stories is very important because they talk about the birth of Christ as the greatest story ever told. And when I was walking this morning on my ruck, I thought to myself, I'm so happy that God just created us in his image. When you're created in someone's image, you're not them. You're just the image of them. Your reflection in the mirror shows who you are. That's valid. That's true. You may not even see all the imperfections. You just see the image that the mirror reflects. We're just the image of God, and we're not God. He dwells within us. And I'm thankful that we're just his image and not actually asked to be him. Because think about it. Even Jesus Christ himself asked God to pass this cup over in his story. And the reason I say I'm glad that we're just his image and not actually his story, because God's word, and words is what control the story. God's word never changed. It's the same yesterday.
Thank you.
It's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and forever. But our word changed like every 7 seconds.
Oh, yes.
Man word changed like every 7 seconds. So if we went off of man's word and man's story, we would never probably see God's glory. So I'm thankful that we was just made in his image, and he didn't put it pressure on us to keep our story the same. Because what if my story was the same that it was when I grew up? What if your story was the same that it was when we divorced, and you had to live with that, and you didn't have the ability to change your story? This coronavirus is allowing you to rewrite your story. I don't want to harp on the coronavirus because I think we didn't beat that thing enough. I really think we do. But what I do want to harp on with the coronavirus is the coronavirus has gave everyone an opportunity to rewrite their stories, to create a new story, to give their children a new story, to give their wife a new story, to give life a new story. And that's what I think is so important about, stories. I often mention to my wife, her, TD Jakes, and there's several people that I listen to when they read. You know, when TD Jakes read the Bible, he tells a story. It's like you watching the movie. He like, and God said in Philippians 4:13, I can do all things. And you know what I'm talking about when you get up and you got to go to the bathroom, and you can do it at 2 a.m. You can aim at the right spot, man. You can sit down. I don't know. Like, he's telling this story, and you're so engulfed into this story that you just like, oh my God, you sitting on the edge of your seat. That's why most of y'all sit down and watch TV. People posting about, I can't wait to watch my shows. I can't wait to do this, because that's the storyline that they have put out for you, and you're following that. But God gave you a story, and you have to rewrite your story. And if you don't rewrite your story, he may not really get the glory. If you don't rewrite your story, your kids will relive the life that you live. So storytelling is very important, and it's all about the way you tell a story. If you bring people in, if you make them feel a part of the story, if you make them feel loved, because they say within the first 20 seconds, if you don't capture your audience, then you're going to lose them. And how do you capture your audience? You tell a story. I was talking to my wife earlier, and I said, babe, I'm not blaming you, but I know when I dialed it back a lot, because I listen to my wife. And me, anybody that listens to me know I talk. Yes, I do. And when I'm telling you a story, I always feel like I need to give you all the details. I can tell you a 7-minute story is going to take me 17 and a half minutes, because I want to make sure you get all the details. And the reason I tell my story like that, because that's the way I want to receive it. I don't want bits and pieces and read between the lines. And I don't want to read between the lines in my story. You know what's in between the lines? Blank space. Why is it a blank space? Because something was already supposed to be filled at the end. Okay? And if it wasn't filled in that line, hopefully I'm going to get it in the next line. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So your story is only going to give God the glory. What you've been through, your marriage. We talked about this, you know, how you felt disappointed and sad. But if people that don't know us, for y'all that's tuning in now, for the people who have never met my wife, for the people who've never heard our story, they would think that we just a beautiful, happy couple, ain't never had no problems. We've been rocking and rolling since forever. But they wouldn't know, you know, we've been together for almost 25 years. For probably 20 of those years, I was a no good, low down, dirty dog. Cheating. 18. Give me my 2 years back. 18. I wasn't no good. And the reason I wasn't no good, because the story I fed myself that I wasn't no good. You know what I'm saying? And it's all about what you feed yourself, what you believe for yourself. And if you don't rewrite your story, if you don't think about God's glory, I ain't talking religion, people. Please miss me with religion. We talking about God, omnipresent, omnipotent. I don't know what color he is, white, black, brown. I don't even care about all that. But we talking about the power that's greater than within you. The story that he gave you, because he gives all of us a story. And you have to listen to him and see what his story is so he can get the glory. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's very important. So you sharing your story is really how you help someone else. They sharing the story of Christ. They sharing this on live TV, and you probably heard me say before, I believe in God. I don't know if I believe everything in the Bible. And I'm going to tell you why. Because man put his hands on it. Man put his hands on it. When I learned in back in the day, if you read the Bible and you reading the stories, if it was in red text, that was God speaking. Right. If it was in black, or Jesus speaking. If it was black, it was a man. Right. So man messed things up a lot. Man changed the story up a lot. It's like if I whisper in your ear and I tell you a story about, I'm going to give you $5, pass it along. That story going to be changed. And if you tell somebody who you are, where you going, what you doing, and what you believe God has called you to, your story going to be changed whether you want to or not by other people. But what do you say about your story? What is God telling you about your story? And I think that's what's very important. You have to know what your story is and how your story is going to help someone else. If you're afraid to share your story, then you won't really be able to bless anybody else. I don't care nothing about y'all judging me. People been judging me since I was a kid. That's what people gonna do. They judge Jesus, but he still told his story. He said, I only say what my Father says. And that was his story. This is my story. I'm sticking to it. And to go on a different note, we had take it all the way back to 95, the first time we had our intimate time. My wife called me the very next day and was like, so yeah, you breaking up? It's over, right? Like, where did you even get that from? Like,
That's what I heard.
and she was like, my mama said that this is what happens.
Right.
And that was the story that she heard. And there's nothing wrong with that, because it's a lot of men that done that. And to be honest, I've probably done that in my life before. And that's the story she heard. And when that story is in your mind, that's the story you keep. But if you don't ever sit down and rewrite your story, if you don't ever sit down and reprogram your mind, if you don't ever sit down and throw away that old story and bless yourself with a new story, then your story gonna stay the same. That's why it's called generational curse.
Yes.
Generational curse is somebody older than you passing the story on to you that the family used to do. If you don't believe me, used to bees don't make no honey, as Les Brown say. If you change your story, then you really see God's glory in the end. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You done? Okay.
That was a mic drop.
No, I wasn't done. I was just trying to back off of you and sudden jump on me.
Oh no, you go ahead. You was
so
on the
cool.
roll.
I want to touch on a few points that I wrote down. One, Sutton, the bald head. This is a new story for me. I ain't gonna even lie to y'all. I want to share a little quick story with y'all, right? See, my father and his brothers and stuff, they get what they call, I like to call the Eddie Monster peak. Anybody that's losing their hair, you know what I'm talking about. Don't be playing with yourself. It gets thin on the sides right here. And then you got that peak in the middle where it's still dark skinned, right? So my kids are always picking on me, Dad, you bald. Like, no, let it go. You bald. I'm like, oh no, I'm good, baby. I got that Kobe fade, right? Like the 1/2 inch one, probably like a 1/4 inch where you really can't see the hair. It's like bald and then light skin bald on top. That was my story. But I knew in my mind that when I felt like it was too far gone, I was going to let it go.
Yes.
And so the other day, I'm just like, hey, it's time to cleanse. It's time to rebuild. It's time to do something different. Not even rebrand, but just do something different. Change up the narrative, rewrite the story. So I shaved it all off. I didn't know what people was going to think. Why do I care? I don't care what people going to think, because my story is my life.
Right.
Your story is your life. So I did something different. I cut it all off. I let it go, because hair don't define me. Your story from yesterday don't define you. Your weight don't define you. Your relationship don't define you. Your parents don't define you. The stories of your past don't define you. So my hair don't define me. And I had to show my hair and everybody else out there. I don't care nothing about this, man. All this stuff is physical. I could be cute today in a car accident tomorrow and be horrible.
That's true.
But I could change my story, because I could feed myself something else. I could feed myself, you are smart, you are loved, you are valuable, you are a masterpiece. God said so. He created me to be his masterpiece. So whatever, regardless of how they see you, it's about how you see you. It's about what you feed you. And if you don't feed yourself the proper story, man, you might not really be able to bless people with God's glory of what you've been through. So I cut my hair off sudden, man, because I knew it was leaving. I ain't gonna lie to myself. It was on its way out. And I wasn't gonna be that dude with the line, the hairline back here, trying to save it. I'm just not finna be that guy. So I wasn't afraid to change my story and tell somebody different. But you get to rewrite your story as well. Coronavirus 2020 or whatever, COVID, this is an opportunity to change your story. God says, God's words say, out of the abundance of the mouth, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Some of y'all that's off work. Some of y'all that's, hey, auntie.
Hey, auntie.
Some of y'all that's off work, you off work because you wanted to be off work.
Take us in there.
I'm gonna take you in there, because when you got your black self up on Monday morning, you're like, oh, I'm so sick and tired of this job. I don't want to be here. I just need some time off. Now you off. Words have power, and you don't understand that words build a story. A letter builds a word builds a sentence, multiple sentences builds a paragraph, multiple paragraphs build a story. And multiple times in your life, you were sick and tired of this job. Multiple times in your life, you just wanted to be at home with your babies because you love them. You just wanted to help them out. Now your black self at home with your babies and you want to throw them out. You just don't know what to do, because your story didn't tell you was going to be sitting at home with your babies, babysitting your babies. I'm just saying. So most of us, we are off work, and we spoke this out of our mouths. Not that you wanted to be off work this way, but you off work now. And now that you off work, what are you going to do with the story? What are you going to do? How are you going to rewrite your story? People getting on here and they talking about, oh, it's the end of the world and God is coming for us. Now everybody want to get spiritual. Everybody want to get religious now. Don't get religious now. You should have been religious beforehand. You should have been in your story beforehand. You should have been crafting your story beforehand. You should have been asking God what he had for you beforehand. That's all I'm saying. Like, I really believe that our stories dictate our life. It's like I told you earlier. I used to share this story with my friends and with myself. By the time I'm 50 years old, I'd be divorced. By the time I was 50 years old, way before I was 50 years old, before I was 40 years old, I was divorced. I was divorced twice. Why? Because that was the story that I fed myself. That was what I believed about myself. That was what I believed was going to happen. And that's what happened. Some of y'all said you wanted a break. You wanted some time off work. You just need to be at home and chill and relax for a bit. Now you at home. You got what you asked for in your story. But how are you going to rewrite that story now? Because see, we ain't God. God words never change. God words that turns into paragraph or chapters in the Bible or verses in the Bible, that don't change. But God is so good, he allowed you to change your story. See, you get to change your story in this time of pandemic, this time of depression, this time of sadness, this time of madness. You get to rewrite your story, but some of us are so focused on the story that the government is giving us that we won't rewrite our story. Some of us are so focused on what they doing to us that we not looking at what we doing to us. Some of us are so focused on what everyone else is doing when everyone is taking from us or trying to keep from us that we not looking what we doing to us. What's your story? How is your story going to give God the glory? How is your story going to bless someone else? How is your story going to uplift someone else? Because stories are very important. I'm 40 years old. People still reading Dr. Seuss. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. I probably learned that in first grade, but I remember that.
Yeah.
Why? Because it was the story that was fed to me. What was the story that your parents told you? What was the story that your teacher told you? People told me a story that I wouldn't make it to C18. I told them, whatever. I wouldn't make it to C21. Whatever. I wouldn't be no good. Whatever. Your story for me is not my story for me. And when you decide to rewrite your story is when you decide to rewrite your life. That's it. You just gonna, you gave your 30 minutes and you done. All right, next thing. Keep getting up. Your homegirl, your best friend, BFF said that earlier in the statement when you were talking about how you got back from your story. You keep getting up. The Bible says a just man falls 7 times and get back up again. If you fall 7 times, you don't think you got no story? You don't got nothing to talk about? I'm going to share a story with y'all. And I know I shared this with my wife before. So in 2005, I had just got my CDL. I was looking to change my life, do something different in my life. So I figured I would go to school, get my Class A license because I enjoyed driving and I really wanted to drive and I enjoyed people. So I went to truck driving school, I studied the whole time I was in Egypt in 2004. I studied and studied and studied and studied. I came home, I passed the test, got my Class A license. Then I went to truck driving school because I didn't have anybody in Michigan at the time who could teach me how to drive a tractor trailer. So I went to truck driving school. I got my license. And I remember me and my wife were separated at this time. I remember sitting on my porch at 14112 Riverview. Wow. I remember sitting on my porch at my place and talking to a truck driving company. They said, Mr. Smith, we're not going to be able to hire you right now because you have too many points on your license. So I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. I guess I'll just go to Iraq. And some of y'all might be thinking like, Iraq, why would you do that? Like you got a choice. Well, I did. In 2005, I think I volunteered to go to Iraq, not 1 time, but 3 times. 3 times I volunteered to go to Iraq and they kept kicking my name off the list because they said, we don't need no specialists. We don't need no E4s. We need E5s and above. But I figured, hey, I need to go because all my friends is going. But they told me, no, you're not going. All right, cool. Months passed. 2-3 months passed. I'm not with my wife. I'm with my girlfriend or whatever you want to call it at the time. And I remember sitting at her house and getting a call and somebody said, got a call from my platoon sergeant. Said, hey, you want to go to Iraq? And I'm like, nah, I don't want to go to Iraq. That passed. And they said, well, you put your name on the list. So your name on the list, now you going to Iraq. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to Iraq. Cool, let's do this. Let's go. But me me volunteering for that, me asking for that, me rewriting like y'all need me, you know, I need to go here. Me doing those things got me exactly where I thought I wanted to be. And then when I got to Iraq, I had to rewrite a new story because I had to find out, was I really ready for this? Could I do this? God, do you got me? Will you protect me? Because the things that you say out of your mouth, the words that you speak out of your mouth, write the story for your life. And I wrote that story for my life. You know why I wrote that story? Because I was trying to escape. I was hoping to escape from the real story, the reality story. I wasn't doing good in my marriage. I wasn't doing good at my job. I wasn't doing good with my kids. So I figured if I could escape and bring in a new chapter of my story, I didn't know if I was going to die, come home or not. But at that time, my story was looking so bad, I was willing to take that chance. And sometimes some of us, our stories look so bad, we're willing to take chances that we wouldn't normally take. What do I mean by that? You get in a relationship that you know does you no good. You go to a job that does you no good. You talk to your children or your parents in a way that does you no good, because that's the story that you fed to yourself. I'm not enough. They not worthy. They not enough. This is all I can do. This is what you believe, because that's the story that you feed yourself. People had a life that they have because the story that they be feeding themselves all their life, the story that we feed ourselves all our life is the life that we will live. When you take ownership for your life and the story that you fed yourself in your life, that is the only time you'll begin to change your life. You're not waiting on God. I want to be honest with you. Please thumbs down me if you don't like this. Thumbs down me if you don't like this. You're not waiting on God. God waiting on you. When Jesus stretched his arms out and said it was finished, that was it. He was done. Jesus' story even changed. He said, God, if this cup could pass me over because I'm not thirsty. I know it's Red Bull in there, but I got plenty of energy. I know you got Hennessy in that thing, but I don't want to drink. I ain't never turn everything into wine. I'm good. But his story was set up for you to be sitting here, me to be sitting here, to tell your story right now, to give him the glory right now, for him to show you that you can rewrite your story and be a better version of the man that they seen or the man or the woman that you thought you was. Our stories are more important than we ever know, because the story that we live out is the story that our kids watch and see. Your turn.
That's true.
That's it. That's true. That's it. That's true.
Your kids are watching if you have them.
If you don't have them, somebody
watching you.
It doesn't matter if you have kids or not. We all have a story that we write.
Right.
I often talk to my wife about writing a book, and I figure like, oh man, I can talk all day, but writing a book is something totally different. But 65% of the people in the world are visual learners. So when somebody's watching you, when somebody's watching you, they're already crafting their own story of who they think you are, what they expect of you, what they want to see you do, based on what you show them. We all have a story, but the thing about a story is you get to rewrite it. You can write a new chapter in your life. I'm telling you. When I was married to my ex, not her, with my other ex, when I was married and I began to change my life, I started to write a new story for my life. And she was telling me that my life was no good. I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. I was already expecting it, but I had to tell myself, no, I can be more than what I'm doing. I can be more than what I am. I can be a better man. I can keep moving forward. I can be a father. I can be a husband, a dependable one. And I began to write that story. I began to recite that story to myself. And when I did that, I became that myself. You know what I'm saying? So your story is very important. All right,
yes, go. And you can always change it. Hey, cousin.
Hey, cousin. You my cousin too. You married into me.
Oh, Lord.
No.
But yes, your story is never final. You can always change it. If you don't like what, your past is, make different choices today. Start today and just go forward with something different, with something new, with just make new choices. A lot of times we feel like, because we've made bad choices.
Cousin, how are you? No, you keep going. I got this over here.
A lot of times we feel like because we've made new choices that we can't. Oh my goodness. that we can't
Ain't nobody over here. Keep on.
get a fresh start, but that's not true. You can just decide. Like I said earlier, it's just a decision. You just decide that I'm going to do something different. I'm going to be someone different, and that I want different things. You make a plan of action and you go for it. You don't have to stay stuck in a mindset or keep doing the same things. That's the beauty about it. You wake up tomorrow and you can definitely, you have a brand new start. You don't have to wait till January 1st to feel like, you know, hey, this is my year. No, you can start your year over right now. Just hit the reset button and make different choice.
Reset button.
Right. Make
Throw the
different
whole
choices.
book away. Or when I listen to sometimes inspirational speeches, they talk about writing down everything that you're feeling, everything that's bothering you, everything that's holding you down. Just write your story out. Be honest with yourself. Stop lying to people. Stop showing up with your representative at work. Stop looking to be perfect for imperfect people in this world. Write your story the way your story is, because your story is unique to you. You know what I'm saying? Your story is unique to you. God has allowed you to go through what you went through because it's going to bless somebody else. I'm listening to I'm walking earlier this morning. I did a quick snippet on one of my, I don't know, my wife posted it on YouTube. I did a quick snippet. I was watching something on YouTube, and a young man, he came in there and he sung amazingly. He told Lionel Richie, man, my grandmother is one of your biggest fans. His 78-year-old great-grandmother, his great-grandmother came in there. She talked to Lionel Richie, and she shared her story with Lionel Richie about how her and her husband dancing to his song Lady was their first dance. How when they got married, Lady is the song that they walked down the aisle to. And she even said it. If it wasn't because of you, Mr. Richie, these kids wouldn't be here. So her great grandson, who was there singing and auditioning for American Idol, who just got the ticket to Hollywood, she was explaining to Lionel Richie, it's because of you. This was her story. It's because of you and what you did, what God has allowed you to do, what God has blessed you to do with this gift to sing and give back. It's because of you that you see him, and now he's here going to Hollywood. And her dream was fulfilled. She got to see Lionel Richie, one of her favorite guys. Not only did she see him, he sung Lady and slow dance with her.
Yes.
Now she has another story at 78 years old to share with probably great grandkids. So your story, it outweighs, it outlasts you. Look at Kobe Bryant's story. Look at Nipsey Hussle's story. Look at Michael Jackson's story. Look at former and past president stories. Look at our current president's story. People have so many stories about what's going on with COVID. So many stories what's going on with homelessness, unemployment. Everybody has a story, but everybody has the opportunity to rewrite their story. And when you don't rewrite your story won't give God the glory. And it's your fault if your story is not heard. And that's just what I feel.
Yeah.
I think she done on me. People, she like, yeah, I'm good. I gave y'all 78 minutes, all I had. He started talking, and that's it. And I guess that too, I got my notes, so got that one done. So here's a couple steps to change your story, man. Affirmations. Her best friend, BFF, said it earlier. Crying in the shower, affirmations, and understand only I can control me. I wake up in the morning and I tell myself, this is my mind. I control my thoughts. And that's what I challenge you to do. Wake up every morning and you tell yourself, this is my mind. I control my thoughts. When me and my wife got back together, one of the first things, I will tell you the first thing we talked about. One of the first things I asked her, besides, are you disappointed in me, is how do you feel about smoking weed? Because I smoked at that time in my life. I smoked, and at that time, I don't know if I'm going to change. I was legal to smoke in Michigan. It helped me with my arthritis. I wanted to take all these over-the-counter pills, and we were able to build and rewrite a whole new story. Not the story of the dude that left her, not the story of the dude that cheated on her, not the story of her being my ex-wife. None of those stories. We crafted a whole new story, a whole new beginning. And when you trust God, when you trust yourself, when you believe in yourself, you're not afraid to share your story with anybody else. Everybody not an extrovert like me. Everybody not transparent like me. Everybody don't have the freedom that I have. but your story is for God's glory, and it's someone that need to hear your story because it's gonna be a blessing to them. Like Lionel Richie singing this song, that has to be one of the most amazing feelings in the world for someone to come back to you and tell you that the gift that God gave you, the story that you shared through song, bless someone else's life. Like stories are so important. We read a story daily when we read God's word. That is a story because most of it is in another man's word based on the way he seen it. That's a story. That's history. A lot of things in history are coming up to turn out to not be true because the guy that wins the fight gets to tell his story. And every day you wake up in the morning, God has allowed you to win the fight against the enemy being your mind, the enemy being the devil, the enemy being your mother, the enemy being your husband, your wife. When he wakes you up, he allows you to rewrite her story or his story, and then he can get the glory and see, this is what I was, this is what I became, this is where I'm going. Stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and most of us get stuck on the beginning. I did. My mama left me, so ain't no women no good. I got to cheat on them all. It's my mama fault. That was my story. And in America, I mean, we all got a lot of stories. Oh, I'm a single parent, so I ain't no good. My mama walked out, so I walked out. You know, my daddy wasn't no good, so I wasn't no good. Like, we just repeat this story. They didn't go, we don't do college in my family. Like, that's the story. Until you rewrite that story, how can you expect God to get the glory? Because your story not your father's story. Your story not your mother's story. Your story is your story. And if you don't pick up that pen and if you don't start rewriting your story, and it's your fault if God don't get the glory for what he brought you through. Your turn.
You scratching off your list.
Oh, absolutely.
What else you got?
Making a list, checking it twice. Steps to change your story. Affirmations. That's what I was going. I went on a rant. Y'all know how I do. Affirmations, man. You got to wake up every day. You got to reprogram yourself. My homeboy Kente told me one time. I know I dropped his name. He don't care. My homeboy Tay told me one time when he came to my house, he said, oh, I see what you're doing. You're hypnotizing yourself. I was like, I ain't hypnotizing myself. What you talking about? But he was right. Dr. Bruce Lipton says only 2 ways to change our mind after it's been programmed in the first 7 years. 2 ways. That's hypnosis and repetition. So if you don't read the story over and over and over and over and over again, 1 or 2 ways that story happens. Listen to me. When I say read it over and over and over again, you either read the story of who you were or you read the story of who you're going to become. 1 of the 2. So repetition is the key, over and over and over and over and over and over again until your story begins to change, until you see who you are. So that's one way. The second way you do that, besides affirmations and repetition, is hypnosis. I don't know how many of y'all want to be hypnotized, but the second way you do that is hypnosis. So if you ain't looking to be hypnotized, then you need to constantly be feeding yourself new information. I am loved. I am valuable. I am a masterpiece. You know what I'm saying? Every morning, bury doubt, bury fear, bury unforgiveness, disbelief. You know, I can make it. I choose life. Write a new story for your life and change your life. COVID, whatever it is, 19, coronavirus is going to change a multitude of people's stories. But listen to me. You get to rewrite your story. You get to sit down and you can make it as simple as you want to make it. I need to work harder. I need to do push-ups. I need to read more. I need to study more. I need to spend more time with my family. You get to rewrite your story. And when you begin to rewrite your story, that's when you truly get the glory. That's just what I feel. That's all I got.
That's
Steps.
all you got?
Affirmations, hypnosis, or repetition. But you can start by affirmations. You can start by affirming yourself. You can start by speaking positive things into your life. You can start by reading positive books. You can start by surrounding yourself. You become the company you keep. Believe that, because most of the people in our life share the same story.
Right. That's what connects you, honestly.
The story connects you from one chapter to the next.
Similarities, yes.
Hey, people want to know why I always attract this type of guy. I always attract this type of girl. I always attract this person. I always attract that person. Why? Because that's the story you've been telling yourself. Every time I get with somebody, he ain't no good or he always cheating on me. That's what you're going to get. That's what you keep speaking. Every time I get with somebody, she ain't no good, dog. She talking to my homeboy. She want to run around here naked. You speaking it out into your life. And when you see that person, you attracted to it. It's like when you get a car. When I got the Durango, we manifested in our mind Durango, or maybe I did, because you don't be caring about that stuff.
Yeah.
And then you start seeing Durangos all over the place. Then you get a Durango. So when you speak about, oh, my girl ain't no good, my husband ain't no good, this, that, and third, that's what you're expecting to see. That's what you probably wind up finding. And I'm not saying that's your fault.
Not only that, because you can't help who's attracted to you. The problem is who you choose to entertain.
Ooh,
so if
good.
you keep
Take
on
me in there.
entertaining these specific
Foolishness
type of people, then you have to check yourself and say, what is it inside of me that continues on in these type of relationships after the red flags are present? So when you meet someone and they display these qualities, you have a choice to make. Do I stay in this situation, or do I make a different choice than I've been making and I exit the situation? Because I've dealt with a number of these people so many times and I don't want this anymore. So I have to be real with myself and say, when I see these things come up, I have to exit the situation, even if it means I'm going to go back to being single. Because if you really want something different, that may be a choice you have to make. So you can't help who's attracted to you, but you can help who you stay in company with.
Absolutely. It's all.
And if you don't want to be with, someone cheating and beating you around, then you have to make the choice when you see the signs in the beginning to walk away.
Unfortunately, we don't know who's cheating and beating us around, but when they do show you signs, like you just said, you have to walk away. But some people have been so used to being in broken relationships and tampered relationships that when you see somebody that thing goes off in your body, that intuition, that red flag, you're like, oh, it ain't that bad. The last person was worse than this, because that's the story you fed yourself. So you stay in it. Then that goes back to when we went to see Tony Robbins. Expectations. You expecting someone else to change the story for your life, and it don't happen like that. When Jesus stretched him arm down, he said it was finished, it was done. You ain't waiting on God, he waiting on you. You ain't waiting on Jerome, you waiting on you. You ain't waiting on Tyrone, you waiting on you. You ain't waiting on Tanya, you ain't waiting on Jessica, you ain't waiting on Shirley. I don't know, I'm giving y'all some old school names. I don't know what these kids' names is now. But you're not waiting on none of them. You waiting on you to sit down and write out a new story.
Yeah.
You have to write out a new story for your life, because God gives us the power to change our life based off the story we fed. You don't believe me? Y'all in the house right now, based off the story the government gave you. You don't know if it's true or not. You don't know if coronavirus is really that bad. All you know is the stories that they give you on the news. People like, oh, how you feel? I feel the same I felt before I heard about coronavirus. Ain't nothing changed. If I get it, I got it. Then I get rid of it. God got me. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. You said you want to say, oh, you're not taking this serious. You're crazy. Call me crazy. I am. If being normal is thinking like everybody else and living in a box and running on a gerbil wheel, I don't want that. That's not my story. It ain't never been my story. I always push the envelope. I'm always jumping off the edge of the cliff. Like Nipsey Hussle said, ain't no point playing defense. That's why I drove off the deep end. Playing offense, man. You got to play offense. And when you playing offense, you rewriting your story. Period, point blank. You change your story to give God the glory. Nobody else can do that for you. And until you do that, your life going to be the same. Just like reading a book. You read the book the same. You read a book over and over and over again. You read the Bible over and over again. Although it's the same story, as you mature in God's glory, that word hits you totally different.
Yes, it does.
Hits you totally different. The things that people said about me 10 years ago don't even affect me now. It hits me totally different. Because I know the story of my life. Right. You don't have to know the story of my life. You don't have to like the story of my life. But I know the story of my life and what I've been through. And when you know the story of your life and what you've been through and how God is looking to change you, then only you can do that. See, stories are so important, man. We on Instagram, we on Facebook, we on YouTube, and all we doing is watching stories. We get to decide what we ingest into our life is our story. And most of y'all are afraid of this coronavirus. I don't think because you're worried about getting sick. I think you're afraid to be alone by yourself, because when you're alone by yourself, you got to hear that story. And then you got to hear, oh, I'm dropping the ball. I really ain't doing well. And you keep repeating that story over and over and over again. As the ghetto boys say, my mind's playing tricks on me. No, it ain't no trick. It's the truth. You being on some BS and your mind is telling you, hey man, it's time to switch it up. It's time to change it up. That's just what I feel. Like, it's your story, man. You got to stick to it or you got to change it. You're either part of the problem or part of the solution. You get to choose.
Indeed.
What's up, Dre? What's going on, brother? What's going on, Brown Ridge? What's going on? Axel Foley Pilots for Life. I don't remember them by Axel, but thank you. Who else? I ain't seen Miss Juanita on here today. She might be at home asleep.
Was on it earlier.
Yeah. So anyhow, man, we just talking about stories and how your story can give somebody else the glory. And how are you willing to change your story? How are you willing to use your story to bless somebody else, to give God the glory? What's going on, Miss Naisha? How are you looking to do that? Because we all have a story, man, and it's not what they say, it's what you say. When you begin to pick up that pen and rewrite your story, you rewrite your life. Every day above ground is another day to change your story, man. I don't care what they say. Everybody not going to like you. Everybody not going to listen to you. Everybody not going to rock with you. Everybody not going to respect you. But if you respect you and you like you, God going to see you through, man, because he don't remember our story from yesterday. He throws it in a seas of forgetfulness. But we carry it on and we drag that crap along like we homeless. No offense to the homeless, but we drag that stuff along with everywhere we got to go. As I say on my inspiration I posted today, trash in, trash out. Are you compacting the trash in your mind? Are you regurgitating that same story like I was? My mama left me, so I can't trust my mama. I can't trust none of these women. They all gonna cheat on me. They all gonna leave me. So I gotta protect myself. I gotta cheat. I gotta thug up. I just gotta be faithful to me. That was a story I fed myself, and that story was a lie. What story are you feeding yourself that could possibly be a lie that's holding you back from the life that you really want, man? Or a woman? What you want? What you want? So I got my 6 minutes. They let me talk. I'm done.
Okay. You gonna end the show or you just taking a break?
Oh, yeah, I guess we can end it if you want. You've been on here long enough. I ain't said nothing but twice. But yep. Hopefully this motivation and inspiration was something for your situation. My wife is hungry. Her story is saying it's time to eat. Her story is saying it's time to eat, man. I got no, I talk over here. Wait, do reconnect me. Please share this video, man. Comment down below, thumbs up, thumbs down, man. Really be a blessing to us. Switch over to my YouTube channel, MrP.I.E.N at MrP.I.E.N 77. Like, subscribe, hit that little bell so you can get the notifications. I know it's foolishness, it's madness right now, but if you listen to it and don't judge it, I swear you'll get the message. If you listen to it and don't judge it, I swear you'll get the message. If you're really looking to change in your life, if you're really looking to move forward in your life, look at the story of your life and then ask yourself, what's the life that you want to live? And then you start writing that story, man. So hopefully this motivation and inspiration from my wife and I was something that'll change your situation, that will free and relax your mind as if you are on vacation. And most of us are, whether we want to or not. Corona did that through God. Okay? God gave y'all Corona to give you a break. Now you got all the time in the world. There's 86,400 seconds in a day. There's no such thing as enough time. But there is a such thing as you don't know how to use your time wisely. So rewrite your story and change the time and change your life, man. I am out. You done?
Done.
I guess that means we out. Y'all have a blessed and wonderful Saturday. We'll probably see y'all tomorrow. You ain't got nowhere to go. You ain't got nothing to do. You in the house with them kids that you don't like, but you love, but you there with them. So change your story, man. Sit down, start writing that thing out. I don't care if you have to start with Cat in the Hat. Write a story, okay? Y'all have a blessed and wonderful day, man. We out. We out. Thank y'all for joining us on Tim Kedia's page for the first time. I'm probably going to go get beat because I went live on her page, but that's all right. That's a new story and a new message. Peace. Can you end that while I'm ending this?